I'm going to show you two ways that you can scrape and build lead lists for local businesses. So the first one is via Clay and their native integration for find local businesses using Google Maps. So this will basically scrape Google Maps for your specific keywords or searches, and then we'll pull that into a Clay table. So this is how you do it step by step. Now, what you have here is basically the map itself, like where you are. So you're just going to put in your location. So if you wanted to do New York City, or if you wanted to do London, or you wanted to do, you name it, right? So let's just do London, Greater London, and we want to do restaurants in London, for example. We can do that, right? You can obviously also select your radius here as well. It won't pull everything from the radius, but it will just give you like an overview of the entirety of the radius, if that makes sense. So use Google's preferred API. If you hover over here, it basically just says that you can return more than 200 results and is more accurate, but it does cost 1 credit per result, right? So we actually prefer to not use it. And if you want to also save on credits, you don't actually have to use it. It will take a little bit more work afterwards, which I'll show you in a second. But yeah, let's just say turn it off, which will give you a slightly different option here. So we could put restaurants in and then London, right? And we've got the radius, and then I wouldn't put in the results because it will give you the maximum of 200 anyways, and you want more than 200 really. And then just click next and new blank table. This will create the source. This will create the table. So once you have the table, you'll see here the number of results that you've actually gotten and what it's actually pulling. And I'll show you in just a second, because this will take a few minutes to load, a few seconds to load basically. You can click on fetch additional results, but it doesn't usually work too well. It will basically just pull like an extra couple of results. Like it doesn't do much, to be honest. What you should do in this situation here as well is also dedupe the Google Maps URL, because this will basically deduplicate any duplicates that you're finding. If you want to do it automatically, so you're pulling in the data like every day or every couple of days, you can click on the bottom right. You can enable automatic deduplication, and you can just select the column as Google Maps URL and then save changes. So once you have that, then it will automatically deduplicate here, and obviously there's no duplicates, right? So these are all individual companies, so we can, I don't know, just click on a couple just to see what they are. And you can see, cool, restaurant, right? And it's all restaurants in London, right? And it's pulled it from a wide radius. But the reason why the results are so low is because it usually will deduplicate anyways the results that come in, and it does a maximum of 200. So if you want to get more, which you obviously will do, because by the time you find the email addresses and everything, you'll have probably about 30 to 40% find rate of this 154 businesses. So if you have 100 businesses, you'll probably have 30 to 40. If you have 100 businesses in total on your lead list, you'll probably have 30 to 40 that you can actually reach out to with verified email addresses, right? So you usually want a larger volume. And the way that you might do this is you would click the plus button to add in another. And instead of doing London, you would do different areas within London. So it is a little bit longer. Chelsea, London, UK, Kensington, Chelsea, yeah, for example here. And then we can just expand this out, right? And we could put restaurants in Chelsea, right? So we could do this, and we can click submit. And then it would pull specifically restaurants around the Chelsea area. So hopefully this should allow an extra maybe like 100 or 200 results. And again, you'll probably have to do this several times. So it is a little bit of a lengthy process in that sense, but it does allow you to do it completely for free, and multiple times basically, and to build a large lead list. But again, you will have to probably spend maybe like half hour or something just building this out. And you would just have to do that for like specific locations, different terms. So for example, instead of like restaurants, you could put like fine dining in Chelsea, or food, where to eat in Chelsea, or something along those lines, right? So you want different terminology that you would search up, and you could try different specific locations. You can try one with this larger that covers the entirety, but you can see there was only 154 results that came up. Even with just Chelsea, there was obviously another nearly double the results that came up basically, and you would just want to reiterate and do this over and over and over again, right? Now I have created other videos on what to do next, but just as a very quick reminder, you would want to, obviously the first thing you want to do is find their email address, right? You want to find, how can I contact these people? You've got their mobile number or business number here. You've got some data, you've got their website, you've got Google Maps links, you've got their company name. but you'd obviously want to find their website, their email address, right? 9 times out of 10 for local businesses, they will have this email address on their website, somewhere in the footer, but just somewhere on the website. So there's two ways that you can go about this. You can either use Zenrose, and you can get the API key for Zenrose. So Zenrose is just basically a website scraper. So Zenrose, you can get the API key. It's really, really cheap. You can do 250,000 URLs, like goes basically, for I think $60 or $70 or something per month, which is really, really cheap. It's much cheaper than doing it with Clay credits. And this is how you can get a really cheap Clay subscription, but also not spend loads on all of this like data enrichment and stuff, right? So you could do that, and you could basically extract the website because it will scrape the entirety of the website, and then you just and you can extract the email address. Another way to do it is via Claygent. So you would then set up Claygent and do a prompt saying scrape the website and find the email address, pull the email address. And you can have a waterfall, so you can try Claygent first, and if Claygent doesn't find it, then you can try Zenrose second. And if Zenrose doesn't find it, then you can try like Prospeo, for example, and basically do a little bit of waterfall. I have done another video on what that looks like in theory and in practice as well. So feel free to check out one of the other videos on my channel that goes through that on like local business workflows. So that's the first way that you can scrape leads for local businesses. And again, this is just restaurants as an example, but you can use anything that is on Google Maps. The second way, which is a little bit easier, but it is a bit more expensive, is on Apify to use a Google Maps extractor. So this is $12 per 1,000 results. So it is a little bit more expensive, especially if you're doing volume, where say, for example, you want to send 10,000 emails a month. It's probably going to cost you quite a little bit more because, again, you're going to have a find rate. Normally, if you do a multi-step waterfall to find email addresses, you're going to have a find rate of about 30 to 40%, give or take, right? And this is verified emails. This is, info at, contact at, maybe the person's like personal email address, their Gmail. There'll be all sorts of different emails that you'll pull because they're local businesses. But the find rate from your initial list will be about 30 to 40%, at least what we found in our experience, right? So if you have a list of 1,000, you'll probably have 300 to 400 people that you can actually reach out to. So bear that in mind when you're pulling this. If you want 10,000, you'll probably have 3,000 to 4,000 to reach out to, right? After you've done the email, found that email and verified that email, right? So this is somewhat self-explanatory, but you can put in a search term here. So again, you could put in restaurants, and I'll just delete that up. And you can put in multiple if you wanted to, but I usually will just do one at a time. The good thing with using Apify is you can schedule the scrape. So it is a lot less work for you in that sense. You don't have to continuously go back and do this and plus and add more leads and so on. One way that you could also mitigate this is just by doing the work up front basically and spending half an hour to an hour building the list of say 10,000, and then you don't have to do it again for the next like month or 2 months, right? Depending on how much volume you're sending out. But another way to do this, and again, it is more expensive, but it does save you time, is to basically do it automatically here. And then you would put in your location here. So you put in, I don't know, London or wherever you are. Number of places per search. Usually we'll, I think this is, if you want to scrape all places, set this value to, so you just pop this in here. There are also other recommendations here in terms of like deep city scrapes. So it enables to extract significantly more places from larger areas because each city inside the region is more focused. So this is very good for example, if you're scraping like Australia or Canada, which have large regions, but everything is a lot more focused areas basically of population. So you can also set that, but it depends on where you're pulling your data from. In this case, if we're pulling it from London, but you don't need to do that. You can also set like different parameters here. Again, I'm not going to go through these in like exact detail because you can just read through them and kind of like see what would work best for you. But 9 times out of 10, normally what we do, keep it really simple. Just put your search term in here, put your location that you're looking to search here, and that's about it. Like that's quite literally it. Put this filter at this, and then other than that, keep everything else as it is. Click save, then save and start, and then it will pull that information. If you then wanted to set up a table on how to integrate that within Clay so that that data pulls from Apify into Clay, you would do it like this. So you would come here, you would go plus table, and you would scroll down and you would go and put import data from Apify actor. And then you'd select which Apify actor you'd want to connect it with, basically. decides to load. I'm not sure why they're not loading. Interesting. I'm not sure why it's not loading, but okay, it decided to load. Yeah, so you would just select the Apify actor that you have. So in this case, Google Maps Extractor. So we'd find here Google Job Scraper, Crawler, Google Places. So I think for some reason, sometimes it is named slightly differently, but I think that's the right one actually. You just have to double check. And then you can also select a specific task. So what that means is if you click on create a task, and you were to title this like, I don't know, restaurants in London, for example. This is a test. Right, I'm going to click continue. Then if we reloaded this, we'd be able to pull in that specific task. So let's see. Down to here. Here. Let it load. I think it's this one. That's another one. Yeah, so it'd be Google Maps Extractor. I couldn't see it the first time. Yeah, so you go here, restaurants in London test, right? So that is the specific task that we're pulling in, and then you just click continue, and it would pull the data. The one thing I will say, and this confused me when I first started doing this like a long time ago, was you have to run the Apify actor first. You have to set it up and you have to run it first. Once it's been set up, once it's been run, and once it's finished, then at that point, connect it with Clay, and you'll just be able to then it will then import everything in. It won't import things in as it's pulling it. It will have a delay, so it will pull the data from Apify and scrape it on Apify. Then it will go to Clay after it's finished, but it doesn't do it in between. There is a little bit of a lag between here and here, between Apify and Clay, basically. So just as an FYI when setting things up, and if it's not working, because I know we experience that, and lots of other people that we work with also experience that as well. So that's the other way, and I'm going to show you what this actually looks like in another table. So here we have another table that I've also had in other videos, but you can see here it'll pull the data in from Apify, right? And this data that we get from Apify, you can see all the stuff that you get. You get the Google Maps URL, you get the address, you get a website, reviews, location, etc., like all this stuff. Pull that in, and then yeah, you can see the workflow that we've built out here, which is basically we normalize the company name, we find the email address, and we do a mini waterfall basically, which is try and use Prospero to find the email address. We use find email address associated with domain, so it'll basically pull different permutations from the domain itself. And as long as you have the company's website, the company's domain, you can then try and find the email address basically. But this will pull in like, for example, here it'll pull in like admin at, or, you know, like different types basically. So you can see like, it's got a person's email address here as well. Then second step we'll do is use Clayagent to basically try and find the email addresses on the website. And if we haven't found it on Clayagent, then we can also use, for example, like Zen Rows as well, which I talked about earlier. Then we'll merge all the columns with the emails. Then we'll validate all the emails basically, and we use Enrichly. The reason why we use Enrichly is because it verifies for catch-all emails. And a lot of times with local businesses, they'll use catch-all emails. So I think it's really, really important to do that, because we'll probably get an extra like 10 to 20% of emails rather than using like a regular validation tool that doesn't do catch-alls. And then that'll pull the valid emails, and then we push it into instantly. But you can also add a bunch of other steps if you want to like personalize it a lot more or anything. This was really plain text, like really simple. But I think I made another video recently on how we're getting a lead basically for every like 200 or so that we contacted, email sent. We're getting like a couple of positive leads a day basically. So yeah, those are two ways that you can use Google Maps Scraper within Clay to build a lead list. That one's for free. Or the second way is to use Apify. That one is not for free, it will be quicker, but obviously costs a little bit more. So those are two ways that you can build lead lists for local businesses, and you can use it for across any local businesses that you're looking to reach out to across the world, wherever it is. I hope this was useful. If you need us to help you build these kinds of tables, then feel free to book in a call below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.